Okay, today we're going to have a wee look at heating system controls. Basically the way that it should work is whenever the programmer calls for heat, we will check the thermostats are calling for heat. They will open the motorised valves, and if the motorised valves open, that in turn will bring on the boiler and pump, which will heat the water. The pump will circulate the water around the circuits being heated until they reach the required temperature. So we're going to start with the programmer first. So here we have the programmer. The programmer allows us to bring the heating and hot water circuits on at separate times to suit us. And as I say, each circuit has its own temperature control. Also have a facility on the programmer. If we want to stick on hot water for 1 hour period only, we can hit the boost button. If we want to bring on the heating system early, we can hit the advanced button. And whenever it is set to, if don't know why you can see it or not on the clock, it is set to run. That runs according to the times that have been set up in the programmer, and it's set on automatic, so that will automatically bring on the heat and bring on the hot water at the times that we have set. So I'm going to hit, say for example, the central heating button, and again there's our power supply, which is a 3-amp fuse to control the circuit. As I say, you can see the red light has come on to tell us that look, the central heating button is now on and we are calling for the heating system to heat up. Usually within about 5 to 10 seconds, if the heating system is calling for heat, we will hear the boiler and the pump coming on. I don't know why you can pick that up or not. Do you want to come over and just pick up that that's on? If you take a look in here, we can hear the boiler going. We have a wee sight glass, so the sight glass we can see the flame, so we know the boiler is going. Boiler has its own thermostat which is set between 70 and 80 degrees. Also then beside the boiler, other controls that we should be aware of is we have an automatic air vent which allows for a high point in the system because the pipes are falling down into the ground before they rise into the bulger. It has an automatic air vent which allows us to release air and make sure the system is full of water. We have a standard 3-bar safety valve that should any pressure build up within the system, that valve will automatically open, it's spring loaded, and that will release pressure, discharge water, and when the pressure falls it will close again automatically. Beside the boiler then we have our circulating pump, which basically the boiler is heating the water, so the circulating pump then is carrying the hot water from the boiler to the circuits being heated inside. Circulating pump then, just to the side of it, we'll have a speed setting. So speed setting may pick that up or may not. We have basically numbers 1, 2 and 3. So at the moment it's set 3, we're a good wee bit away, a wee bit of a distance away from the house, and a reasonable sized 2-storey house to heat. So therefore it'll be sort of higher speed in order for the pump to be able to carry the water to the furthest points and back again. One wee thing you should take a wee note, just ask yourself, right, what type of flue system have we here? And again, the flue is in the flexible tube. The flexible tube will tell you that is in fact a balanced or a rim sealed flue. The flexible tube being your air intake, which comes down into the boiler, and then within another duct, the combustion products will be fired back out again. We now go and take a wee look, also maybe there just sorry, the oil line. There's your oil line coming in. As it comes in you have a pressure type fire valve. Pressure type fire valve is controlled by a bulb here, and if you put any wires that should there be any fire at this point, that will be sensed at the bulb. It'll go to the valve and it will shut off the fuel supply, so the fire will be starved of fuel. And as I say, tag a loop on this system because the oil tank is slightly lower than the boiler that it is feeding. So the oil tank works in conjunction with the fuel pump on the boiler in order to lift the oil from a lower level in the oil tank and lift it up and feed it to the boiler. We'll take a look now on the inside and we'll take a look at the rheostat settings. Okay, so we've traced the heating system. We've traced the heating system. The pipes are coming in from the boiler. I'm now going to turn the rheostat up in the sitting room, and that will bring all the heat I will open this motorised valve here. So just I'll get into the way you'll see there in the camera a wee minute. That's the main feeds coming in from the boiler, and as the tee off, that's to go down then to control the downstairs circuit, and then that's the pipework go back down into the floor. And if we follow that pipework now, that pipework will be heading upstairs. So it passes up to the duct, and the number of pipes passing from the ground floor to the upstairs, including our flow and return to the heating system. And we go upstairs, and we'll see the controls then on the hot press. Okay, we're now following the pipework from downstairs. We said it passed up through the duct, and if you take a look in this corner, the top pipe here, if you trace that backwards at the floor, that's our flow pipe coming up from downstairs, and that's our return pipe from the heating system going back down again. The flow pipe, when it comes up then, you can see a branch. The branch is going to the flow on hot water coil, which is the top connection, and then the pipework passes across. We have a motorised valve. The purpose of this motorised valve is to control the heating circuit upstairs. And as I say, you can follow the pipework that's going on down. When that pipe goes down, that's going off to feed all the radiators downstairs. This is the return pipe then, coming back up, and it comes up and across, as I say, to pick up then the return from the hot water cylinder, which has its own motorised valve, and it's then going down and heading back downstairs and back down towards the boiler again. We've gone down to the programmer and we've hit the boost button in order to bring on the hot water. And now we're going to go and have a wee look at the setting on the thermostat of the cylinder, and we're going to turn that up until it calls for heat, and we should be able to hear the motorised valve then being brought on. Okay, motorised valve, it's very quiet when it's actually coming on. As I say, the moving part, that's the valve actually opening now, and whenever that valve opens, that's allowing the hot water to pass through that circuit. Again, probably if you want to maybe hear it a wee bit more clearly, if we turn the stat down, you'll probably hear more clearly when the actual valve closes. So if you listen carefully. Alright, so that winding noise is basically the valve closing down. And I say a wee bit more easy to hear when it's closing down rather than maybe starting up. It's quite quiet in operation. Alright, that's all. Okay, and finally we're up into the loose space here. We've traced the paperwork up from the hot press below. First of all, we point out, we can see we have a 18 litre cold feeding expansion cistern, which tells us that it is an open vented heating system. And if we take a wee look at the pipework, we have first of all the mains coming in, complete with its service valve, and it splits off to the cold water storage cistern. It's going in to feed the heating system. Water level at the moment is sitting about 1 inch below the overflow. Should in fact be set probably approximately half full in order to allow for expansion water when the system heats up. And then if it says other pipework here, we'll have the cold feed go back out and downstairs to supply the water to the heating system, and we have the vent pipe coming back up. Also see pipework is securely fixed. Again, maybe there are any wee comments with regards maybe an insulation jacket when you look at your cold water storage cistern and you look across at your cold feeding expansion cistern. You do have the actual lid here alright, and again, even pipework wise, take a wee look at the pipework there coming out. You have the cold feed coming out and it's actually branching into the vent, so maybe you can have a wee think about that and say, would that be the recognised way of doing that, or where should that cold feed connect into the system. Okay, so now we're having a wee look at the oil storage. You can see there we have approximately a 500 gallon oil storage tank, and what I want you to have a wee think about, look at the distance of your oil tank to the wall, and bear in mind that the wall has a window at this point. Also want you to take a wee look at the distance basically from the top of your oil tank to the gutter, and also we covered in the classroom, we talked about the distances that are recommended between your flue outlet and your oil storage tank, because we've hot gases coming out of this, and also the distance between your flue and your downpipe from the rainwater.